Hi there and welcome to Bustthenet. Yes, we are off on another how-to series of shows. Now, it's very interesting when we look at this game. All right. Now, the game has its ups, its downs. We get frustrated with the game. Some of us love the game. Some of us smash the monitor. We do all kinds of wonderful things to this game. But somehow or another, most of us have been with the game for many, many years. Over the years, the game has changed. And just like football, if you were to go to a football game, you notice there are different kinds of managers. You've got the manager that sits in the dugout and never comes out. You've got the manager that stands at the dugout and never goes back in. And you've got managers that write little notes, send it out to the players, and give them all kinds of micro instructions as to what they're supposed to do, exactly what they're supposed to do. I'll give you an example. Rafa Benitez, when he took over Liverpool, Rafa Benitez is a micromanager. When he managed Liverpool, he was well known for stifling the creativity out of the side because he had a very specific way each person had to play. It was all down to his defensive side of his game. He had precise roles, precise ways the players were supposed to play the ball. Uh, they were expected to bring the ball up in a certain way. They were supposed to drop back in a certain way. Let's look at Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho is no different. Jose Mourinho is noted for writing small little instructions on pieces of paper in the middle of the game and sending them out with a substitute, because sometimes the formation change can be so drastic. They require some instructions for the players, even though they may have spent the whole week learning the three tactical systems he intends them to play. Every player on the pitch is given precise instructions on what they're supposed to do. When Rafa Benitez was at Liverpool, the common complaint was the creativity on the side had gone to such a point that when Liverpool was so defensively solid that they could beat teams. I mean, who will ever forget the Champions League match between Chelsea and Liverpool? Two defensive teams going head to head. It was the most boring football match I've ever seen. It was like a giant chess match between two sides who were defensively very sound, but in an attacking sense of the word, there was nothing much on show. And when Liverpool went to play with any side below eighth on the table, in fact, among the top five clubs, they had the worst record playing bottom sides in the table. Okay, in terms of points, if you took all the points together, I think we were against the top four clubs. We were top of the table at one point in head-to-head results. But if you looked at the bottom of the table, we were, when we compare us to United and the rest of the teams, we did really badly. So what does this mean? Sometimes creativity when you play the game of Football Manager, you got to decide what kind of manager you want to be. I know it's simple, right? It sounds like a simple thing, but somehow or another, this is the one of the things in the game that strikes me very, very, very much to the core. Now, when you pick up the tactical creator, you already are given a hint on, first up, when you go to the tactics, you pick any tactic up, you come here and you say, okay, fine, I want to set a formation. What formation should I pick? There are formations in the game that are already pre-built. They aren't necessarily there's nothing wrong with the formations. Look at it. You got wide midfielder support, then you got some automatic roles. There are like 4 automatic roles in this system alone. Automatic roles change with the mentality, but the other roles are pretty okay. See, the thing here is when you start the game, you could opt to be manager A. Manager A decides, all right, I've got a good team with me. I've got a decent team with me. Let's see how those players do with their roles. This was exactly what Nick Madden, who joined us on the show, he's the QA match engine lead, and he was explaining how he approached the game. Now, his approach to the game is very interesting because there are many approaches to the game. Even for him, he plays differently with different teams. But this is one approach to the game that he took with England when we played Malta. And in that game, he decided to assign generic roles to everybody and let their roles do the talking, which is perfectly fine because when you look at the game, every single role has already got instructions laid out. Hold position, close down more. For an automatic role, there's nothing there. It's just a central midfielder. For the wide midfielder, nothing. Here, we'll just tell all the players to do their own thing. The one thing I would suggest when you want to do an automatic role, pick the role. So if you go in and you decide, you got so many roles there, you can decide from the roles what kind of a player you want. Okay, if you are playing a 4-4-1-1, you could be the manager that goes, okay, I've got a really talented creator in my side. So I'm going to tell my talented creator to be a roaming playmaker. All right. And then the guy in the middle, well, he's I need him to be hardworking, like, go and chop a few legs today. So you could turn around and tell, okay, you chop a couple of legs. I'll make sure that you don't go too far away from the defensive line. And then on the left line, since you're chopping the legs, we have somebody here. I would like to see a winger. Okay, all right, you be a winger. But it's really simple. You got support and attack, and you think to yourself, okay, fine. All right, I want you to go up and support the attack, but I also want you to come back and defend. Fine, support. So when you choose roles, all you got to do is ask yourself a question: what do you want to do? Now, once the roles have been set up, and all the roles have been done, this kind of a manager just approaches the game using roles to change the outcome of a game. You don't have to do much, and if you're in doubt, stay on flexible as a team shape, because the flexible team shape just tells everybody to, it's a 50-50 approach to the game. If you wanted to choose another shape, you've got like a lot more shapes to choose. You've got more disciplined shapes, like the highly structured shapes, and the more, I won't say not disciplined, I'll say the more like, in a very fluid shape, basically you're telling the whole team, hey, let's all just go together and do the thing. Let's all win together. Let's all try and get a goal together. That's what very fluid does. Very fluid encourages the team to work together more as a unit. But highly structured shapes tell the team to be more disciplined, because there's less, I won't call it creativity, but in a highly structured system, there's more divergence in mentality. So players tend to the attacking players will go out and do the attacking job, and the defensive players will stay back and do the defensive job. So everybody is very structured. They work within these little rules that they have to operate in. However, it does not mean that they're not going to be allowed to exercise their creativity, because right now attacking players are going to have a bit more onus to go out and do something with the game. They know that they are going to be on their own. So players like Harry Kane, his mentality is going to be slightly more attacking than perhaps Rashford here. So when you create your tactic, this is one approach to take, especially if you're coming into the game very new. And this is the beautiful approach. Don't ever pick team instructions, because you want to see how your team plays. So this kind of a manager, he goes into the game, he decides, all right, fine, I want to see how my team plays, and I don't want to do anything. All right, maybe if you want to keep it simple, you may want to tell your goalkeeper, okay, fine, you can decide what kind of distribution your goalkeeper is going to do. Do you want him to clear it long? Do you want to keep it short? In this particular case, we have a 4-4-1-1. All right, you could ask the team, because we don't have a defensive midfielder, or maybe we want to explore trying to get our players further up the pitch when they're attacking. Maybe I want to go with a more structured shape. Or let's all do a transition together, keep the team more compact when they're moving forward. Let's play with a more fluid shape. So that's how you approach shape. Mentality is very simple. Mentality is all about risk. How much risk do you want to take? Do you want your players to sit on the fence and just keep the ball and move it about? Then maybe you want standard. But are you willing to play a bit more direct football? Do you want to get the ball up quickly? Then you want to look at control. Are you willing to take more risk? Then you're looking at attack. Are you not sure about what you want to do, but you want to sit back and just suss out the opposition? Then I would suggest standard. Okay, so as you move down, it's your risk tolerance as well. So here, when you're setting up your tactics, decide what kind of a manager you want to be. A manager like this is very much, I won't call him Roy Hodgson, okay? That's definitely not the case, because you still have chosen roles, right? Yeah, you may want to change take the player off the pitch, but once you see something in the game, and perhaps you've seen, all right, maybe you decided Dele Alli was supposed to be a roaming playmaker, and you notice that his instructions are to dribble more and roam from position, and you discovered along the way, by the way, that he is maybe you discover that as he gets near the box, he decides he wants to shoot a lot. Then you could tell Dele Alli, dude, don't take your shots. Okay, if you notice that, tell him not to take his long shots. But don't go overboard with PIs. Observe how your players are doing first before you decide to take the route. I want to use my play instructions. So that is the first type of manager. Now we got the second type of manager. The second type of manager is pretty cool. Now the second type of manager is Jose Mourinho, Sir Alex Ferguson, not really Alex Ferguson, but more Jose Mourinho and Pep Guardiola. These two managers Well, they may be rivals, but they certainly belong to the same school, which is when their players come on board, they're very compartmentalized in the way they think. They want their players to play to a game plan, and they will not change their game plan. Pep Guardiola may not change his tactics, but he has a game plan. He expects his players to perform in units in a certain way. He wants them to maybe show the wingers in one direction. He wants his team to overload on one side of the flank. He doesn't want his players to play too extravagantly, because he wants all the play to be overloaded on one side of the flank. So he's very, very specific. Jose Mourinho, he's very specific in the sense that he may want he wants his midfielders to come back quickly at transitions. If you read any stories about Jose Mourinho when he was managing Chelsea, you discover one thing: all the Chelsea players learned the word transition from Jose Mourinho, because Jose Mourinho used to hammer this into their heads. All the AMs get back during a transition. I mean, the word transition became really cool after Jose Mourinho was managing Chelsea. Now, if you have a situation like this, then Jose Mourinho is what I call a micromanager. So when you have a micromanager, this is at a level of playing the game that can be a bit more demanding, and it can always lead to more confusion. And I see a lot of players trying to become Jose Mourinho or trying to play like Jose Mourinho, and they load their tactics up with so many PIs and TIs. They don't know what's happening. They can't really tell what's gone wrong in the game, because now you don't know if it's the role or the player or the tactic. When you start out as a manager who's just going, I want to see how the roles play out, you actually end up learning what the roles can do. But if you start out pumping in a lot of PIs and TIs into the game, then you end up being a person that's, you basically told them exactly what to do. But guess what? You know what was a common criticism of Rafa Benitez? When Rafa Benitez was a failed player, so he coached the way he coached the way he would have expected if he was a player, which is, tell me exactly what I'm supposed to do, and I'll do it. See, the problem is that kind of micromanagement may be great for teams that are looking to defend, right? But what happens when you're trying to break a side down? By giving your players so many PIs, you are locking them into a state of play. So can you imagine what will happen? I can load up a tactic. I probably have one of my tactics is probably guilty of that. So I'm gonna find one of my tactics. It is got so many PIs. Yeah, this is one of my tactics. It's got loads of PIs. No, it doesn't have. Okay, this is not so bad. Maybe this guy has got a lot of PIs, but normally I don't have a lot of PIs unless it's unless there's a specific pattern that I want. But I have seen PPMs or play instructions which have got so many PIs they look something like this. So with all these PIs on the player, you're gonna end up giving the person very specific instructions on how they're gonna play. Now, what this does is you're not really gonna understand how the role is playing. So you're gonna have to know what you're doing. You're gonna have to know what the role already can do for you to apply all this. And finally, you're going to have to understand how that role works with the rest of the roles to score you goals. Now, for those guys who probably understand this, they create this, they can have a system in place, they understand what's going on, they found a formula, they got it working. Now, great. There's nothing wrong with that. Chances are the goals are always going to look the same. I know, because it happens in my games. Maybe it doesn't happen in other people's games, but it certainly happens in mine. I almost every single goal looks the same. Now, is this an exploit? Not really, because you're actually being very specific about how you want your goals to come. You got this game plan. I want you to go down the road, turn left, turn right, go around the roundabout, and go back this way. You're very specific about directions with your team. Now, the challenge with doing that is that sometimes you're going to find situations where it runs up against a brick wall, because certain teams may be playing very defensively and you might find it hard to break them down, which has happened to me as well. So I find that, oh no, I've got to try something different. Maybe I need to do a role change here. That's when you hit that little position. You go like, what am I gonna do? Do I opt to increase my mentality and my shape, or do I make a change in the role? This is where I find that changing roles can sometimes be just as effective as changing shape or mentality. But in order for you to reach that stage, you need to decide what's the best way to learn the tactical creator. So how do you master the tactical creator? In order for you to master the tactical creator, you're literally asking yourself one question: what kind of a manager do I want to be? So the best way to approach it is to start out by being a manager that trusts the roles first. So understand how the roles work. So it's a staged process. So you go into the game, the first time you load the game up, choose the roles that fit into the tactical system, right? You want to design. Then comes the second stage, which is identifying the right players for those roles. Then you need to understand attributes. Then the third stage would be, how do I make those roles work with other roles? So you're gonna have to learn. You're gonna have to ask yourself, okay, if I want to get the ball up here, do I need to have support for this player so the ball goes up the flank? Cool. All right. All that is sorted. Now go into the game without any TIs. Why? Because you need to see how the roles flourish so you can understand the roles. Because I see a lot of discussions going on, like, can you explain to me how the center forward works? Can you explain to me how the target man works? Can you explain to me how the wing back works? I'm like, you need to try it out. But a lot of people, what they see on YouTube or what they see in guides is a wing back has already got so many PIs that they don't see it. So they go like, how did you make him tackle that player over there? So they will never understand. So what you need to do is you need to play those roles without any TIs, without any PIs, at least understand what they can do. I mean, a good time is preseason, right? So do it in preseason. Now, as you progress and you get to know your tactic a bit better, that's when you start making tweaks. Maybe a change to a role here, maybe a change to a role there. By then you'll understand the roles a bit better and what they can do. That's when you can look at a tactical creator and start making adjustments. Should I push my defensive line up? Maybe I should take a bit more risk. Maybe I should get more players involved so that you know that to do that you'll include changes in shape. Maybe I'm sitting back too deep. My players are taking too long to come back. Maybe I should have a lower defensive line. They're coming too close to my goal. I don't see my wing backs they're getting involved in play. Maybe I should go a bit wider. I should put some pressure on the goalkeeper in the back line. You will pressure the keeper, prevent short goalkeeper distribution. So stuff like that. You don't drop everything in one go. You just, you try one thing out, you try two things out. I get very excited when I see a tactic with 1 or 2 PIs. I'm guilty of having 12 PIs because I'm psychotic. Doesn't mean that I'm correct. I wish that I could play the game without any TIs or PIs. It'd be more fun that way. Then I just have to make role and duty changes. But then as you get better, then you can make those PI changes. When you make those PI changes, you can then say, I got a player here who can't dribble very well. He keeps losing the ball. Let's dribble less with you. I see you are losing the ball all the time. Your passing is always, you're giving the ball away all the time. So I don't think you can play anything longer than a short pass. Okay, so here you go with your short pass. You make sure you're always passing it to somebody next to you. I don't care who it is. You just make sure you don't hang on to the ball too long. So you're reacting to your players. So that's when you understand what the role can do, and then you understand what the shortcomings of the player who's playing that role ineffectively is doing for your tactic. So my suggestion is, how do you master the tactical creator? And I'll tell you something, there's no shortcut to mastering the tactical creator. I've had this question asked to me so many times. Okay, how did you understand the tactical creator so well? Well, practice. And I did not start with massive TI and PI changes. I started out with 0 TIs, 0 PIs, and I went straight in and I tried all the roles out. At one point I really hated the roles because there are too many, so I started going in generic roles. People ask me why I use generic roles so much. It's because I'm very comfortable making modifications to them right now. That's because I know what every role can do. Sometimes I go to a specific role, but in order for people to master the tactical creator, you actually need to start at the beginning and use it minimally. First, you need to understand roles and duties first. Those are the most important things in this game, because ultimately, those 11 players on the pitch, they're going to decide the game for you. Because those dots and pixels aren't going to get upset with you. You're going to get upset with dots and pixels and start smashing monitors. And I want to help you people stop smashing your monitors, because I can feel the pain all the way here. So if you have any questions on what other guides I can do to help you understand the tactical creator, please let me know. Now, I understand people have asked me about shape. Now, shape is a really, really simple concept. Okay, just use it this way. All right. If you want your players to be disciplined, use a structured shape. If you want your players not to lose shape too often, but to stay rigidly together, follow instructions to the man, to the letter, structured. If you want your players to get involved, hey guys, we're a goal down. I don't care. You want to be like Kevin Keegan? Everybody get up there and get a goal for me. I don't care whether you're a defender or a striker, but all of you involved in getting me a goal. Become fluid. Now, fluidity just encourages more players to be involved in transitions. It makes the whole team think like one. So all of them are going to sing a thing by a campfire singing Kumbaya. That's why That's why I tell my friends. Structured shape, well, everybody has got his job to do. Now, is one shape better than the other shape? No. Both shapes are good. In fact, I love using structured shape with sides like Barcelona and Real Madrid. And I sometimes like using fluid shapes with poor sides. But sometimes I switch. I go use a structured shape with a poor side, and I use a fluid shape with a good side. But the thing is here, it's very simple. My logic is very simple. If I want you to be more disciplined, good, go to structured. If I want you to be kumbaya, go there. If I want everybody to defend together, maybe I'll just switch to fluid because I want all of you. I don't care. Everybody just sit back, just defend together. If I want everybody to get up there and score a goal for me, and I don't really care how you do it, but everybody needs to do it, then go fluid. So that's basically shape. Shape is essentially a convergence and a divergence of risk, right? That's all it is. So on the lower end of the shape spectrum, which is like highly structured, you could say it's lower risk because there's a divergence in risk. There's a divergence in mentality, right? Attacking players are more attacking. Defensive players are defensive. At the highest end of shape, there's more convergence. So everybody's got the same mentality. The only differences might be small, minor differences to roles and duties. So I would suggest that people, when they start this game, if you want to master the tactical creator, you start by asking yourself, what kind of a manager do you want to be? If you want to be a micromanager, then learn how to be a manager who understands the tactical creator. Understand the feel of play. And that is roles, duties, your tactical creator. Step back, use minimal roles. And then as you progress, start adding a bit. And I'm pretty certain that by the time FM18 comes along, if you follow my advice, you will master the tactical creator before the beta is even complete. Once the beta is out, I give you like 1 month. You'd have mastered the tactical creator. You'd have mastered FM18. Well, if you have any questions, you know where to find me. You can always look me up on Twitter at Bustthenet or addictedtofm.com, my website. Once again, I'd like to thank all my patrons for their continued support of this channel. There's so many other shows that I'm working on at the moment. I'm trying to get more saves done. And of course, we have this fantastic series that I've started with my friends. And it's all about how people use the tactical creator in different ways. So I've got Nick was on the last show, and he showed us how he used the tactical creator without any TIs and PIs. He had one player with PIs. It was just the goalkeeper. But other than that, everybody had no, there were no PIs. They played quite well. Granted, they had low possession, but I wasn't surprised they had low possession with a standard flexible. I was kind of expecting that. So you guys have a good one. Take care, and I'll catch up with you soon. Bye-bye.